Hello. Whew, that was a chapter last night, you guys. It was emotional. It's an emotional chapter. All the emotions. The poor McAllister family, they've got a lot going on. They do. They've got a lot going on. They've got a lot of feelings and emotions. Oh, the McAllister family. You gotta feel bad for them. You gotta feel bad for them because there's lots of emotions on all the sides. Hi, Monica. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Joanne. But yeah, hi, Kristen. Oh, thank you. I just got out of the shower and dried my hair. We're doing family photos on my husband's side of the family, so I gotta look presentable today. Hi, Erica. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Laura. Hi, Kimbers. Hi, Betsy. Thank you. Family portraits today. Woohoo. Had to put makeup on. It was horrible. I'm so not used to being around like other people anymore, guys. Like I've been going to like my sister had a baby shower. It's my son's birthday. I'm just like not used to large crowds. Like COVID has made me like an introvert or something. I don't know. I'm like, it's too many people, too many things to do. I gotta like put a real bra on and do my makeup. What is this world? Luciana, hi. Monica, can't wait for Robert to get his. Just hang on for that. Natalie, hi. Maggie, hi. Hi, Cassie. Amanda, hi. Cute party yesterday. Thank you. My mom gets most of the credit for that. There were balloons that I didn't post pictures of, and that was my contribution. I blew up the balloons. My mom placed them around her basement, but I blew them up. That was what I did. And I was telling her where things were straight and whatnot. It just took forever. I was like, this is a 2-year-old's birthday party. I was not prepared. I was not prepared for the decorations. Happy Sunday, Amanda, Tracy. Happy Sunday to you too, Tracy. Kristen, I have a very important question. Hit me with your important question. Tammy, hi. Enjoy your break. Is Miley still around? Haven't heard much about her or Charity. Wasn't she the first baby? Yes, Charity was mentioned in EJ's book. He talked to her a little bit. Miley is still around. Her and Jim are. They've been traveling a little bit, but they're going to come back. There's a lot going on. The person who is not coming back yet, it's because they didn't tell him what. The Connors family is busy, and Nathan is busy in Hawaii healing, and so that's why he's not around. He's still in Hawaii, and he hasn't been told all the goings on, so he's not back yet. Marnie, hi Amanda, looking fabulous. Thank you. Who's ready for vacation? Guys, I'm so excited to be on vacation. I'm so excited about it. It's my wedding anniversary this week, so fun times. Let's see. I have a question. The letter of Alania where she said to get Alexander to Melantine, was it because she wanted to let Angela? No. Okay. Alania didn't really focus too much on Alexander and his path. At the time she wrote the letter to Lexi, she had not intended to be dead. So she wrote that when Lexi's parents were still alive. She was hoping to still be doing her whispering and whatnot. She was hoping to convince Hayley to run away from her family and not have Angela at that point. Well, she does later, but that was always her intent. But Alexander was always going to be around, so it was kind of she didn't focus on Melanie's path. She absolutely did not know that Melanie would be the reason her plot with Angela failed spectacularly. If she had, she would have given them more specific information about how to keep Melanie where she was from the start. Because she knew, obviously, when you listen to the tone of the letter, she knew exactly what was going to happen to Melanie. She just didn't care. But if she had known that Melanie was and her path would interfere with her plot with Angela, she absolutely would have told them specific details about how to make sure Melanie McAllister was safe and didn't ruin her plans. But yeah, no, that's not why. She was just being vague because it was trying to, be the, oh, look, I'm being helpful, but I'm not interfering with the past that I see, because that was her thing. She didn't interfere. So that was her way of whispering to Lexi. because Lexi wasn't a fairy. She wasn't going to directly tell her anything. So, the goddesses and gods say they are not allowed to give some information. Who is in charge of them? Who stops them from telling all the information? So, I mean, they're in charge, obviously. They try not to interfere in like a super big way, but they are supposed to be the balance. Some changes are coming for them, and we're going to see, there have been nuggets throughout about where this is going. But we're going to see some changes for the god and goddesses eventually, but that I think it's going to get revealed, not. So, not so like it would be centuries before they have changes, but I think that's going to get revealed somewhere what's going on with them. Happy birthday to my son. Happy anniversary to you and your hubby. Many more happy years to both. Thank you, Kristen. It'd be cool if Nathan and Alpha Davis's wife could be second chance mates. They both need love. Yeah, I mean they do. Let's not discount the fact that just because not everybody likes Cassandra and she's not exactly a very nice person, Nathan still did love her very much, and they knew love together. Like Cassandra is selfish, but she loved Nathan. She loved her children too. She just loved everything in her world to be, perfect as she saw it, and her definition of perfect. For Luna Elena, her story is different because when she met Alpha Edward and they had Cain and then Addison, he was not the man that we met. And she says that. He used to be, ambitious, and he was going to change how things were in the pack. He didn't like it. And because she's not from their pack. So, yeah, when they met, when Elena and Sierra's mom met Jean, they were different people. They just changed. So they had that mate bond they were supposed to have. They had it for a while. That's why they had kids with them. But things changed. So, hi, Amanda. Happy to be able to join today. Hi, Alyssa. We are glad you're here. It's my birthday weekend anniversary. Also, Libra Squad. Cool, Danielle. Happy anniversary. Happy birthday. What spell was put on the Luna and Beta female for Black Path? So it was a spell to not interfere. So they had an alpha command on them not to do certain things, which only worked because it was aided by magic, because as it would work on the Beta female because she's not his mate, but it never should have worked on the Luna because she's his mate and his equal. But it was basically a spell not to interfere, not to tell about what was going on, and to just kind of be in the background. So it was going against her very nature as a Luna. As you saw when Melanie arrived, she still was protecting people in the way that she could. She couldn't fully stand up for them the way that she should be able to as the Luna, but she did get Melanie back into the hospital, and she bought her some time before she had to get in the kitchen. Not much time, but yeah, she was fighting the way that she could, but yeah, not great. Okay. What else we got? Does anyone else on emotional? I was on emotional overload writing that chapter last night. But hi, I'm like, hi, Elena. You're fine. Yeah, it was it's an emotional chapter, guys. I don't know if this was answered before or not, but will Odette be getting her own book? We'll see what happens with Odette. Crazy thought. Could Melanie be a goddess since she could kick Celine's butt? We'll see. We will see. But yeah. I mean, from the start of the first book, I think it's clear that the goddesses are not doing their jobs. So I love how Xander protects Mel and makes everyone wait to ask her questions. There's several components to that. But yes, he did. I mean, we'll obviously see what happens when he basically was like, hey, we need the room. Buttercup, go show them the office. We'll see what he says and why everyone agrees with him, because there are reasons that they do. Because he makes sense, and Hayley's on his side, which means his dad is on his side, and they're in their home. And he makes a valid argument for everyone else to agree with him for the questions, because I think it's obvious. That was always the question Tristan asked, was always his first question. He wanted to know the answer to that question. Obviously, Grandpa Ben has some other questions, and so do her family. And I mean, so does Eric, so does Xander. They all have questions they would very much like to know the answer to, because at this point, they know she's in the resistance. So they want that information. They want a meeting with the leader of the resistance. Unbeknownst to them, she lives with them now. So like they have obviously those questions they want answers to. They want the intel that the resistance has. But Xander, like I said, he's in a tough spot because, he's been best friends with Jason since they were children. And he just never foresaw like a roadblock there, like between the two friends, because Alexander has thought for a long time that Melanie is his mate. But he, it's his sister, and they have a good relationship as far as he knew, until this point. So, it's not like something he thought was going to be a big deal, but it is, because there's a lot of emotions to unpack there and a lot of things to go through. So, it's still his mate, it's still his home, and it's still his Luna. And he does get to make that kind of call. And how he was raised was by Hayley and Eric, was people tell their stories in their own time. And, she shows that letter, and EJ read it. So, it's clear that there's a lot there to unpack, and that they might need to give her a second. So as her mate, it's his job to make sure that happens. So yeah, I would love to go back and see what happens when the girls go back to Red Run. I'm sure that will be an outtake on here that someone will request. It is something I do plan to probably have as an outtake to this book. I don't know when that will get posted if no one requests it. But it is something. Well, it's also, I have books planned for the three girls, for Avery, Sierra, and Paige. So they all have their own books. So that is something that will be answered there too. I mean, I have questions, but I have to play the catch-up game. Dang, me need sleep. If you have questions, go ahead and ask them. The catch-up game. I mean, we all need sleep. It's a thing. It's unfortunate. If only we could just run. There's so much to do and so little time to do it in, and totally get that. Robert seems to be at the top of the trader list. I fear he has run for it. Robert is at the top of Melanie's list. So, no, he's not running for it, because in his mind, Melanie has no reason to suspect him. The people that could suspect him, I mean, it's very clear that they have a grudge against him and don't like him, so they would need serious evidence that they don't have to blame him. And there are other reasons that he's still around, and we get to know more about him, guys. But at this point, Robert is only at the top of Melanie's suspect list. So I noticed when Mel was telling what happened the night she was shot, she didn't bring up the mom monster, the cookies. No, she didn't. At this point, you got to remember that there's broken trust here, and there are things that she knows that she's not going to tell, because now she's used to being on her own and figuring out things by herself. And she is very smart, and she can, and she has her friends to help her. She's also not going to come back right out the gate, because she never figured that out. She needs to talk to Tristan and ask him if he ever looked into it. She needs to do some digging, but she wants to do that herself. So we will see. But yeah, I mean, there are obviously reasons she didn't bring it up. And it's because, there's a serious broken trust with the group of people that were there on her side. So, when you do something for 6 years and think that you're on your own for 6 years, and you kind of go off on your own and figure stuff out, it's like Hayley said, you can't deconstruct a way of thinking with one conversation, or you can't just change people's feelings and emotions that they've had for years in one conversation. That's just not going to happen. You can't rebuild trust in one conversation that has been so completely broken. So she's still kind of in figure things out herself mode. Do you know what book we'll find out what Nathan's path will be? Yes, I do. I mean, he has a path right now. He's recovering and he's healing from his mate of 30 plus years dying. That's his path right now. Does he come back and have a different one? Yes, he does. Was Paisley from Black Path? Yes. Paisley is mentioned in EJ and Elise's book. Elise talks to her in the kitchen. And Paisley is Buck's ex-mate. She tells Elise that she went to her Luna in confidence and that was punished by the Alpha when the Luna told, and then she was declared a rogue, but Mel said she was rejected. She was not rejected. She rejected Buck and fled. Paisley can lie. So Paisley is still scared of things. And part of what she said is true. So she did go to her Luna in confidence. The Luna is under a spell. So she did tell the Alpha that Paisley was unhappy. She didn't exactly give all the details of the conversation, but she was punished. And then Mel helped her run away after rejecting Buck. But Paisley can lie, and Paisley is scared. So she didn't exactly give Elise the full picture. So, but yes, Paisley did reject Buck and run, and that was with the help of Melanie. And Paisley doesn't know that the Luna is under a spell to tell. So she had no idea any of that was going on. So she's a little eerie of, Lunas and Alphas. But yeah, Paisley can lie. So. Do we hear more about Zoe and her mate? So Zoe is Dana Connor's mate. We saw them meet in EJ's book. So we know Dana, that's Darren's daughter. She's an Alpha. She's a cousin of EJ and Alexander and Cassie and all of them. That's who they are. I loved Eric's comment about how he was going to get a look, but call me Eric. Yeah, because Hayley didn't want anyone to interrupt her story. That's kind of the look she gave Alexander, like, we have her talking. She's talking right now. Don't interrupt. But yeah, he knew he was going to get a look from Hayley, but he wanted her to know that she could call him Eric. I'm loving the book right now, but I'm curious as to what the next book will be. Have you gotten an idea, or have you not decided yet? I know the next book is either going to be Keaton Daniel's book or a Ribbon book. I just don't know which one. I change my mind every day. Some days, I think I even said on a live, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Keaton. No, maybe a Ribbon. I don't know. We'll see where I am at the end of this book. I feel really bad for Peter Kyle. I do too. I feel really bad for everybody in Red Run. But Peter, I feel very bad for her. Same with Drake and Sam. I feel bad for them. But particularly Peter, this is gonna, we see in Emmeline's book, it hit him hard that Emmeline was out living, in the wilderness and he didn't know. That hit him hard. And this is going to hit him 10 times harder. This is a gut punch way harder because this is a girl that grew up with his back as his best friend's daughter. And it's a girl he considers to be family. He's basically her godfather. He's basically a second dad to her. So that he was the alpha and this happened to her in his pack is devastating to him. That she is so angry at him is devastating to him. So I feel bad for him too. Off the point, does everyone know about Cassie's pregnancy yet? No. Cassie is waiting for a happier moment to tell everybody about that. We'll see that. We'll see her tell everybody. Obviously, all her siblings know and her mom knows. Anyone who's a fairy knows, but they're not going to say anything if she hasn't said anything. So they do not know yet because, when we left off in Cassie's book was when they went to go save Melanie. And obviously, it's not the moment. So, yeah, they don't know yet. Is Hayley going to go all Mama Wolf on people soon? We'll see a little bit of that in the next chapter because we know that Xander goes after Melanie falls asleep and goes back and joins the group. But Hayley is not happy. So, but I'm just picturing Eric finding out about Cassie. We'll see what he says. Dropping face. We'll see. We'll see what his reaction is because he's there when she obviously shares the news because he's one of the people that needs to know. So, See, I side more with Melanie when it comes to Drake and Sam. Yes, they were under a spell, but to not demand your daughter come home after high school for the holidays is hard to take. It wasn't just a spell. They were being guilted and manipulated by the fact that it's her dream. It's her dream. And they're also being asked by their daughter to let her do this. And Drake feels guilty that for the first 14 years of her life, he held her pretty close. There are spells involved. There's compulsions involved. It's a pretty intense thing. And I realize that Peter is not her parent, but he kind of is. So if you give him a break, you have to give the McAllisters a break themselves too. Because, they're obviously, they tried to go see her. They tried to get her home they think. There's just always some sort of natural disaster and all this. They think that they can't ask the Connors or the Lyons or anybody that's a fairy for help, to go, bring her home because it's not an emergency. I don't think, if you think you're going to blame the characters more than the characters blame themselves, particularly Drake, you're wrong. But I think they were all in an impossible situation. He couldn't fight it. He was trying, but he literally couldn't. Neither could Sam. They were screwed, they were betrayed, and there are people to blame for that, but it's not them. They were manipulated, they were compelled, they were spelled. There was just layers upon layers to that. So I really can't lay blame at their feet. Now, can Melanie? Yes, Melanie is entitled to her feelings with this, and so are the McAllisters. They're all entitled to the feelings for this. Now, the true culprits of it all will be revealed, and they're who should take the blame. So, what are some outtake requests you are expecting? Because too much has happened for me at this point to think of one. Outtakes I'm expecting. Well, at the moment, like, I probably could think of more, but at the moment, the one I am expecting is, either the conversation with the three girls when they go back to Red Run, um, hearing them out, sorting through their feelings, more of, the girls getting to know each other, in Black Path. I I don't know what to expect. But we'll see. Uh, Are there going to be more crazy she-wolves that going after Alexander? So we're actually going to see some really interesting interactions, not just with Alexander, but with the other Connor's brothers and even Eric himself. Now that Melanie's around, she kind of Melanie has a different way of thinking about things. A lot of smart people tend to have different ways of thinking about stuff. But the things that, Elise and even Hayley to a degree, let go, Melanie's not going to let it go for anybody's sake. And Melanie has a way with words. So we're going to see a couple of things, one specifically with Eric, one specifically with EJ. Melanie's going to see a familiar face involved with one with EJ. The one with Eric, she doesn't know, but calls out anyway. And everybody's kind of like shocked by her perspective of it. All the girls are just like, and all the guys kind of get their eyes opened to a way of someone saying something that they have not heard before. Because to Melanie, it's obvious that what they're doing, she kind of just basically points out, like, what's your goal here? Other than to make yourself look like a fool. So, yeah, Melanie just has a way of pointing things out that people don't really see. So we do see they're not necessarily crazy, but Melanie just putting people like in. She's just kind of like, really be better. It's basically what she tells people, and everybody's just kind of like. So it's kind of funny now that she's there. There's just a different way that. Things that either get let go or get talked about later or whatever, she kind of just calls it out right in front of everybody. She's like, I'm going to say it to you in front of all these people because you did this in front of all these people, so why can't I do it? Why would I wait for you to be alone? I don't care. So yeah, I think that Melanie will get over and beyond the hurt with Drake, Sam, and Jason before they forget themselves. There's also T, Tristan, but there's a lot for them there. Jason and Melanie have a lot to get through, because she never thought he was dead. And she thought he was saying hurtful things to her, that he didn't want her, and that hurts his feelings. So they actually have a lot to get through between the two of them. I feel like Addison is going to end up being the most understanding, as she saw how powerful a spell can be since her mom was under a powerful one. And Addison does know her mom was under a spell. So Addison is aware of that. She's been aware of that most of her life. She was, her and Sierra knew their moms were under a spell. The pack didn't, though. So Addison is in a tough spot. But at the same time, she's not, because Melanie has basically told them all, do what you want to do. And at the core of it, Addison knows that Melanie has always wanted her brother to be happy. That has been one of her driving forces, is to protect Jason and hope that Jason and his family are happy. So Addison does know that. She also does have the insight of, being around somebody who's compelled by a powerful spell. So she does have that going for her. And it's also, Jason is her mate. So she does have the mate bond there, and her wolf and his wolf. So she does have, she has a unique perspective on it. Will we find out why Stephanie did what she did to Mel? I mean, I think at this point you can infer a lot of it. Her husband was killed by one of the allies of Black Mountain and Red Run, Chase Daniels. This was her best way of getting back at him. And she's just an evil person. And the McCanns have always been involved in shady stuff. So, I mean, it was just her way of getting back at Chase in the only way she could. Because she never was going to be able to go directly for Chase. But knowing that it would haunt him, that she was involved, and that a pup was hurt, she knew that would get to him because it's one of his allies and it shouldn't have happened. So that's her main motivation, and she's a terrible person. So, did Hayley kill the woman in Montana that was flirting with Eric? No, and we will see her. Why didn't Sam investigate when Peter's new seal went missing? Was that part of the spell also? No. It's not actually Sam's job to investigate that. Drake did look into it. They thought it was a prank by one of the kids in the pack. And they were falsely led to believe that. So they believed it was destroyed. They didn't think somebody was using it. Otherwise, obviously, Drake would still be looking for it. But Drake was under the impression it was thrown into a bonfire at their party and that it was gone. And Sam, as the beta female, ordered him a new one. So they were falsely led to believe it was destroyed when it was not. So. Sorry, I had to mute somebody. Yeah, I'm sure that you guys saw those comments for a second, but I removed them. I'm not dealing with that. I'm rereading the books from the start in Emily's book, The Witches Coven from Nashville, Missouri, the high school dance. Are they linked to the events in this book? We will find out. We know that Lexi took out one of those covens from Tennessee. So we know that one is gone, but there are more than one. So we'll see. Has Claire, who wants Alexander, been recruited for the ring? No, she hasn't, and we'll see her again. She's in Alpha Theo's pack right now. The name is enough to giggle at. Yeah, that was inappropriate. But yes, they're in a timeout. If they come back, I will just block them. So, but yeah, there are lots of little tie-ins from Emily's book into this book. So, and obviously, all the alphas and the betas at this point, besides Alexander, EJ, Toby, and Phil, all the OG betas and stuff when we started this series, and even Drake and Peter know how Mel's wolf was suppressed. So Alexander's going to get some answers to that. Because they all know. And he's like, why do you know? And we don't know. And it's because they didn't want the information out there. So they kept it between like their core group. So, but obviously it was something that Alexander should have known because he would have known exactly what happened. When he saw Melanie, he would have known exactly, like, how did they do something to her wolf? He would have known exactly how it happened. And he would have known partially who to suspect just because it came out of Nashville in the first place. So, Are the witches who are helping the ring Satan's coven members? Yes, they're part of it. So in Raised to Cure, we discovered that there were multiple facets to that. So they weren't called Satan's coven because at this point, our OG reality took out Satan's coven. And they know that there are other ones. They just don't know who all they are yet. Neither did our Raised to Cure reality. They were just on the lookout for them. So they're not called Satan's covens, but they are part of it. So. But, there will always be, Melanie says this, there will always be, bad apples in every profession, every supernatural race. There will always be people that want to reach for power that have been denied power and get it in whatever way they can. So that, maybe necessarily they didn't start out as evil, but they, liked the power that they got and they just went down the hole. That's basically what happened to Edward and Jean. They didn't start out as bad people. They grew to a place, and we're going to see how little or how much they know, because Melanie's not wrong. They're not true, like they're no longer true alpha and beta. They're just kind of puppets at this point. And they can't really, like, they hide in their office when people attack them. Like, they can't stand up to anything the Connors can do, anything the Kyles can do, the McAllisters, the Daniels, the Hakura, any of them. They can't stand up to that stuff. Should they try? Yes. Will they? I would think their character tells you they're not going to. They don't want to get hurt. Will Melanie have a Luna ceremony soon? So you have to be marked to have your Luna ceremony. So she can't have it until she's marked. So. But soon is a relative term. Will it happen? Yes. Yes, it will. Okay. There's a two-part to this question. There's just separated by a question. It says, or even a wedding. So here's what I'll say about that. The wedding is going to take some time because Melanie has a lot of feelings and things to sort out too with the wedding. Hi, Hunter. There's some things need to be at ease in the McAllister family for Melanie, because Melanie has always wanted to marry Alexander. He's her Xander, so of course she wants to marry him. But these things that she kind of thought would be at her way. So like she just didn't anticipate her dad being able to walk her down the aisle, even though for 14 years that was her dream that he would. And now he's back and they're just not in a good place. And so the wedding does take some time. Are the witches the ones that started the whole ring in the first place? No. They seem to do more bad stuff than any other supernatural group. No, there are bad people in every supernatural group. They're heavily involved because they can do a lot of magic. So, did Jean die? No, he's in the dungeons too. I wasn't sure since I thought only the alpha was in the dungeon. Nope, both Jean and Edward are there. As we know that Hayley and Eric are in the ribbon and don't know anyone else, will we have a Jumpers visit this reality soon? No. Is the warlock that is married to Stephanie her mate, or was he forced on her? Neither. So Stephanie McCann's mate is the Gamma McCann that died in Chase and Lexi's book. That is the Gamma that Chase killed. That was her mate. The warlock that is married and like it's not a real marriage. Spencer tells us that it's not a real marriage. She's like, it's a marriage in their hearts. They're both just evil people. He was brought there because Melanie was coming there, and they genuinely, or on her part, she genuinely cared about him in her own type of way. Obviously, since he ditched her, that wasn't exactly returned. So, karma. Let's see. Okay, I caught up on the questions. Look at me go. Okay. But yeah, yeah, that was that was kind of a fun karmic justice for her to get. That he knew what was coming. He knew the jig was up. Booker, Trevor, and Ajax, which is not his real name, have fled, but they left Stephanie behind. So it goes to show how unliked she is. Like Booker and Trevor are actually related to her by marriage. Well, they weren't by blood, by marriage. It was still their relatives' mate, and they just left her behind. Not really the people you should hang your hat on, but whatever, she did, and she is gonna pay for that. So will Mel get to kill Alpha Ezra? We'll see what happens to him. Right now, she hasn't told anybody that he was involved. So yeah, we'll see what happens to him. Forgive me if I'm being dense. I need to reread. Stephanie McCann, is she dead or unconscious? She's unconscious. That's fair. Melanie didn't really go into details. She is unconscious and she is in Black Mountain. So, oh boy, does Sam McAllister have things to say to Stephanie? So, Stephanie's not in for a good time. Yeah, Stephanie's not in for a good time. Because, Sam is a beta female. And you messed with her pup. And you did it at the expense of her child. And you also said that you were related to her. And she kept her child from her. They kidnapped her. Like, you kidnapped their kid. So you're not in for a good time, And then, you've got Sam and Hayley are friends. They've been friends for a while. So, any horrible thing Sam can think of that Hayley can do magically or otherwise, it's going to get done. So, wondering why Edward thought Paige would listen to him about taking Angela's memory. Is she part wolf? No. Or did he just think she would do it for Mel? So, there was an agreement. So Melanie mentions that she saved Paige. And that Paige basically lived with the pack after that. There was an agreement that she would help Alpha Edward when he needed it, since she was a witch. He didn't often need it because he had Ajax. But, Paige can lie. And she never did anything that she has a moral compass, and she never did anything she felt was bad. And she typically told people to pretend and then get out, or just pretend that they didn't remember things, because she is very powerful. So, but he thought she would do it because there was an agreement that whenever he needed her, so that she could live with the pack and her friends, because she's loyal to Melanie and she wanted to be where Melanie was. So that's why he thought that. Will we find out how they know to go? Find out how they know to go where? I'm not sure. I need more details in the question. The doctor that Mel dropped Ben and Nick off, what is his story? So we heard him mentioned in EJ and Elise's story. He's the doctor who showed up in their territory. He has the one daughter that's kind of not out there. She's very withdrawn, and she's been seeing Hayley. That's him. So he is mentioned in EJ and Elise's book cursively. I think it's like a paragraph where they're talking about some people who get sent there, and the doctor with the daughters is one of them, and they suspect that she was in the ring, and that the resistance got him and his family out, but they can't prove it. So He is mentioned. Ajax, the Warlock, Booker, and Trevor. I mean, it was obvious. It was obvious at this point. Angela Connors was in their pack. And they didn't know. Let's be truthful here. So even if Paige had done what the Alpha asked her to do, there was no guarantee that Paige was powerful enough to alter the memory of a royal Hakura partial fairy wolf. There was no guarantee that that was. If it was, they could have come back. But like Angela Connors was there. The Connors were coming to Nashville. They had to leave. So for them, it was obvious that the jig was up. Is the loyalty people feel towards Melanie similar to being the treasure ability that Hayley has? Yes and no. They have a reason to be loyal to her. She has saved them. She is a savior to them. But there is something innately about her that people want to follow and want to be a part of what she's doing. But the added layer to that is she literally has saved their lives. She altered the course of their lives and gave them a chance at happiness when they would have just been miserable forever or forced into doing something they didn't want to do, whether that be with their powers, or their body, or, whatever. So she does have their loyalty in multiple ways. Does Paige know the witch that suppressed Melanie's wolf? We'll find out. We'll find out if she does. If Hayley had eaten the cookies, would they have affected her like the others? Not in the same way, because Hayley hasn't been spending a lot of time thinking about Melanie and her situation as some of the others have. She finds it weird. She's questioned a couple things, but it's not something that's taking up all her time. She's got 20 kids, and she has no reason to think that there's anything wrong with Melanie. And she has no reason to know how important Melanie is to one of her own children because they didn't tell her. So as far as Hayley was concerned, everyone's always saying Melanie's living her dream. Her dream is to dance. She's a great dancer. And Hayley is like, okay, she's great at dancing. Cool. She's questioned some things. It didn't give her a headache to do so. But, when everyone, if you've ever had a situation where you kind of think something is weird, but literally everyone else around you is telling you that you're wrong and that there's nothing weird about it other than, that you can't see her in a picture. Okay, we all agree that's weird. But everything else about her, everyone just doesn't really either answer you or they just kind of brush you off. You eventually start to feel like you're the crazy person. Like maybe this is normal. And she's like, she's not from here. She's like, okay, maybe this is normal that, parents let's send their children off. She's like, I've not seen this, but whatever. Everyone from this realm thinks this is normal. So maybe this is just one of those things. So it's kind of playing off of her not being raised in the realm. And also like, for her, like part of her thing is the Hakura, they don't do it anymore, but they used to wait 16 years to meet a partial Hakura. So, to her, it's like, okay, got that. And then her mom was very not around for her much, really. So a lot of that was just like, okay, everybody says it's normal. I guess that's what's normal in this realm. I'm not going to do it, but whatever, kind of a thing. Where is Paige's family? Paige's family is dead. So Paige was an orphan. Yep. So Paige's backstory a little bit. um, her parents and her brother died in a car accident. Actually died, guys. They're actually dead. Um, and she was put into an orphanage. Just so happened to be run by a warlock and discovered like she's a witch. So they got her put with a family. Um, in foster care. Well, that family situation changed and they didn't end up being able to take care of her. So she went back into the system. They found another family to take her, and they were part of a bad coven. And they took her in, they adopted her, kind of put on a front um, for her and, the warlock who was involved in her case. And then once she was adopted, they sold her. So, then they didn't treat her very well until she was old enough to go to Nashville, to where she was supposed to be given to this warlock, which is where Melanie got involved. So, is the reason why they didn't try and spell Hayley because they knew she wouldn't question things, as it seemed like they knew Hayley wouldn't eat peanut butter? No, they do not know that Hayley doesn't eat the cookies. It's not well known that Hayley doesn't like the cookies because she doesn't tell people. So she knows that like her family likes the cookies, and the Omega that makes them has no idea that Hayley doesn't eat them, because Hayley has never said, I don't like peanut butter cookies, like don't make them. And the Omega's been like, oh, I left out cookies. You should go get one. And Hayley's evasive about it. Or when she's like, oh, did you enjoy the cookies? Hayley would answer, my children love them. My husband loves them. But she never said that she did. So they have no idea she never ate them. It definitely seems that they use Hayley's not being raised in the realm against her a lot. They do. It's not necessarily being them smart enough to know that they're using her not being raised in this realm against her. They kind of luck into it, honestly. There's just some things that she's like, okay, well, I guess that's whatever they do here. It's just a difference in how things go in other realms. So some of it is honestly luck on their part. It's not that they're smart enough to be like, oh, she's not going to question this because of this. They don't know that she's not questioning it. There are just reasons that she hasn't been. So I feel like if it was Lexi instead of Hayley that was closer to Red Run, she would be questioning. They get the cookies in Yellow Hills too. So they get cookies in Yellow Hills too. I'll say it that way. The answer you gave, it sounds like the Omega is in on the cookies. Is she in on it or upon it all? We'll get the answer to that. I don't think my answer makes it seem that way. But we get the answer to that question, whether or not the Omega is involved. How are the cookies getting past Mrs. Blanche? I can't imagine after all this time she doesn't know that Hayley doesn't eat peanut butter. Did Mrs. Blanche retire? Yes, Zoe runs the kitchen now. Mrs. Blanche is more of an advisor. Zoe is also a Luna. So she runs her kitchen differently than Mrs. Blanche does. She has different people that do different things. So Mrs. Blanche has retired. Zoe runs the kitchen. And it's not their fault. Like they have no way of knowing this, honestly. Let's not forget that this plan has been in motion for a long time. Maybe not specifically for Melanie, but we saw in Raised to Cura, Leah was kind of a dry run for them with all of this manipulation and things involved like that. So in our OG reality, they got away with Leah a lot longer than they got away with it in Raised to Cura. So they were just kind of waiting for the right moment and the right people to mess with. And, Melanie served as a sort of revenge for members of the ring. And it was a great way to mess with people, because while they didn't know for certain who her mate was, there are reasons that Alexander was kept away from her, and it was just in case. So it's been a plan and a plot in place for a very long time at this point. Okay, we'll do a couple more minutes and then gotta wrap and go take pictures. But I don't have to mow, so that's exciting. Is Mrs. Blanche still around? I don't remember her being mentioned. Mrs. Blanche is still around. But she does take trips and vacations and stuff, but she's still around. Like her nephew or her grandsons are the betas. She loves spending time with her daughters and her grandsons and everything. So she's still around. Do we get the answers? Do we get our answers soon or yours soon? Depends on which question you're asking the question to. Who took over the kitchen at Blue Moon when Chelsea's mom retired? We see that more in the Quads books if who did that. So we see that more on their side. How was Leah rescued that hadn't happened in Raised to Cura when the OG visited? We did see it in Raised to Cura. In the OG, is that what you're asking, how they saved her in the OG? Because we did see her saved in Raised to Cura. No, is her mate still around, Mrs. Blanche? Yeah, he is. We just don't really get into him very much. But he's around. So yes, in the OG, how was she rescued? Well, when they found out about her, they found out who Tabitha was. That's how, they... So Eric, when they get back, tells some trusted packs in Kentucky, and they go in along with some Hakura because their job is to protect the realms. So they go in with some Hakura because they know that Remington's daughter might be there. So they go in and get them, which they Hayley helps them too because she goes in and makes Al tell the truth, so they know exactly where they are. So they go to get them. The first of many beatdowns Fabian was to receive. I'm not sure what that comment is in reference to. Is Mrs. Blanche like a grandmother to Hayley's kids? Yeah. Yeah, she's kind of like a fun relative, kind of like a fun aunt for them. She was like a second mother to Eric and his brothers. Yeah, she's definitely in their lives. Particularly once Cassandra died. She wasn't ever going to take the place of Cassandra, but she's just kind of, she's kind of like a fun aunt for them. A lot of people have claimed Mel is theirs. Do we find out why soon? Soon. Soon is such a hard word. We do find out. I'll put it that way. We've got some stuff to get through before we find out, but we find out. Do we get an answer to the cookies? That is one of the answers we get. And there will be some... So once we get the answers to the cookies, there's some additional information that I'm sure will shock the group about motivations and whatnot. Because not everything is as it seems, guys. There are motivations at play for those involved that the reader probably doesn't see coming at this point. I am excited about that one. But it's also, the question is, who puts it together about the cookies first? Is it going to be Corbin? Is he going to come in? Or is someone going to figure it out a little bit before he does? We'll see. So very random, but since the Packs are living a lot longer now, did Eric and all of them have to redo their retirement pension plans for the Pack members since they'll be around longer? He's kind of working with Arthur on how like vampires do stuff. So they have made some changes because obviously, werewolves live for a long time, but they don't live for centuries. So he's working with Arthur and a little bit with Aiden, because obviously fairies have been living for a long time, but they don't live in the same realm. So he mostly gets to talk to Arthur, which makes him happy. Do the foxes come into this story? I don't have any foxes. Do you mean the kitsunes? The kitsunes do not come into play in this story. I did mention them for a reason. There is a book they absolutely play a part in, and there have been clues for that there have been clues for that in the books. So it involves one of the Connors. They play a big part with one of the Connors. And how they come into play, I think is fun. So, and we've gotten a hint to how they come into play. It's obvious to me because I wrote it, but I'm sure it's pretty vague. So, hope you have a great vacation. Thank you. I can't remember what you said, but will we still get outtakes next week? Yes. Yes, we will. But, all right. I have to go get my child up. I have to go take pictures. Only that could have been. It's, sometimes you just want chill. Like this week, I have taken my child to 35 minutes away to play with construction equipment because he likes construction equipment. And my mom wanted to take pictures of him, and my dad had a friend who was going to let him play on his equipment. So took him out there one day. The next day, took him back out to my parents' house so he spends Fridays with my parents. And then, was setting up things for my son's party at my parents' house. Guys, I had to go. My mom's like, let's go to the store. And she said the grocery store. Okay. I've been around my family long enough to know that if a woman in my family who's not me, I shop like Emmeline. I have a purpose and I do it and then I'm out. But the women in my family are like the creative, like actual creative. Like I am creative with my mind. They're creative with their hands. They can like paint things and like they could run an Etsy shop. I'm telling you. They make their own decorations and their house looks like it's stepped out of catalog. Mine does not. Okay. I did not get any of those genes, but like we went to Hobby Lobby. Now, had my mom told me we were going to anything but the grocery store, I could have told you that was a terrible idea because I don't have the patience for that type of stuff. I respect that people do that and that it's their hobby and that they are very good at it. And that some people, it's their job. So I respect it. I just don't like it for myself personally. And going to Hobby Lobby with somebody who is unable to shop like I do is like torturous because they want to go down all the aisles. Do you know how many aisles there are in Hobby Lobby? A lot. There are a lot of aisles in Hobby Lobby. So, spent way too long there. Eventually made it to the grocery store. That was the third stop. And then I was like, if we don't eat, I'm going to be very hangry. So then we got to eat. But yeah, it was just Friday. And then yesterday was my son's birthday, and we went back out to Lee Summit for the party at my parents' house. Our house just doesn't have the layout. Like we have a lot of space here, but it's like broken out weird. So it was like we couldn't all be in the same room. Whereas at my parents' house, we could all be on, like, open up the door on their deck. You could go on the deck or you could be in their basement. So that's why we had it up there. But then today it's like, got to get ready and go take a picture. It's like, can my vacation just start out chill? And the answer is no, it cannot. But it was just, it's like, but I'm on vacation. That would be like, Melanie, it's not fair. I'm on vacation. But yes, okay, I'm going to get it together. But yeah, I will chat with you all. Might, get on randomly on Wednesday. We'll see. I'm not, the outtakes will be posted this week. And I will let you guys know about a chapter if that's going to happen or not. So we will chat. I will be around. So I hope you all have a great week. And I will keep you up to date on things. Have a good Sunday, guys.